I lost 14 minutes of a Tuesday morning to a set of keys. The eye doctor had me down for 9:15. I was showered, shaved, and standing in the kitchen at 8:50 with my coat on, which for me is practically early. And then the keys were not where the keys are. I patted both coat pockets. I checked the bowl on the counter, which is where they go, except they were not in it. I lifted the newspaper. I opened the junk drawer, which is a wonderful drawer full of rubber bands and dead batteries and no keys whatsoever. I went out and looked in the car door. I came back in and checked the same coat pockets a second time, because that is what a person does at that point. My wife found them. Yesterday's jacket, hanging in the hall closet, right where I had put them the second I walked in the door the night before. So I got in the car flustered, ran 2 red lights worth of impatience, and then, somewhere around the middle of town, my brain started up the other routine, the one where I run through everything I might have left going. Was the burner off under the kettle? Did I close the garage? Was the back door locked, or did I only picture myself locking it? I made the appointment, barely, and I sat in that waiting room with my hat in my lap, feeling like I had run a small race before 9 in the morning. Here is what took me another year or so to understand, and it is the reason I am making this video. The problem was not my memory. The problem was that my house had no place for keys, no place for the things that have to leave with me, and no way of telling me anything. Every single one of those jobs was being handled by me, in my head, over and over, for 30 years. And a head is a terrible filing cabinet. I am John Marcus, and here at Seniors Cleaning Hacks we talk about the ordinary, unglamorous stuff that quietly eats your day. Today I want to walk you through 10 ways to organize a home so it does more of the remembering and more of the repeating, and you do less. None of this requires you to be a technology person. I am not one. I still write phone numbers on the back of envelopes, and I still cannot tell you what my television remote's blue button does. And I want to put the main idea up front, because it is the whole point. You have spent decades running a household. It is a fair trade for the household to start carrying a little of the load back. If that sits right with you, go ahead and tap the like button while you are thinking about it. It helps other folks our age find this, instead of the videos that assume we cannot work a toaster. When somebody says home organization, most of us picture the same things: bins, baskets, labels on the pantry shelf, a drawer where the utensils are finally separated, a closet you can look into without something falling on your foot. That is real organization, and I am not knocking it. I have a labeled shelf in my garage and I am proud of it. But that is only one kind. That is organizing your things. There is a second kind that almost nobody talks about, and in my experience it does more for your day than any basket ever will. It is organizing the way your home works. Think about how much of your week is not stuff at all. It is trips. It is checking. It is deciding the same thing you decided yesterday. Walking to the thermostat, walking back, making sure the door is locked, making sure it is still locked, remembering the filter, remembering the trash, wondering if the lamp in the back room is still burning, standing in the hardware store trying to recall whether you are out of furnace filters or out of light bulbs or both. None of that shows up in a photograph of a tidy room, but it is the part that wears you out. So here is the standard I want you to use for the rest of this video. A well-organized home should reduce 5 things: unnecessary walking, repeated decisions, forgotten tasks, searching, and what I have come to call mental clutter, which is the pile of small, unfinished business you carry around behind your eyes all day. And here is the rule that ties the whole video together, so write it on something if you write things down. Organize the system first, automate it second, and only if automation actually makes it easier. Every time I mention a gadget in the next 20 minutes, it is because a system already exists, and the gadget just handles the repetitive end of it. If you never buy a single thing, most of what follows still works. Some of the best ones cost nothing at all. Let me take you through the 10. 1. Organize your nighttime lighting. Everybody knows the 2 in the morning hallway. One hand on the wallpaper, feeling for a switch that is either 3 inches from your fingers or in a different room entirely. The organization mistake is that we treat lighting like a single yes or no decision per room. Light on, light off. So the middle of the night gives you 2 lousy options: total darkness or the overhead fixture blasting you awake and waking your spouse besides. The system is to stop thinking in rooms and start thinking about the path. Sit down and walk it in your mind. Bed to bedroom door, to hallway, to bathroom, and back. That is the trip you take most often in the dark, and it has maybe 4 legs to it. Now decide what each leg actually needs. Not what looks nice. What you need to see the floor. The answer is almost always far less light than you would guess, and much lower down than you would guess. Light near the floor shows you the floor. Light at eye level mostly shows you spots. The optional automation is a motion sensor light, and it is the least technical item in this entire video. Battery powered, about the size of a bar of soap. Peel the sticker and press it to the wall. No app, no account, no internet. It notices movement, it glows, and after half a minute of nothing it shuts itself off. I have one in the hall, one in the linen closet where the shelves have been a mystery since the Clinton administration, and one low on the bathroom wall. That bathroom one turned out to be my favorite thing in the house. Enough light to see by, not so much that I am wide awake afterwards staring at the ceiling. The non-tech version works fine too. A plug-in nightlight with a little photo cell on it costs almost nothing, has no batteries, and comes on by itself at dusk. Your grandmother had these, they still work. One practical tip. The batteries in the motion lights die, usually somewhere around 6 to 8 months. Write the install date on the back with a marker so you are not guessing. And if you have a cat who patrols at 3 in the morning, choose your rooms carefully, or you will have your own private light show. I want to be careful with my words here. Lighting the path can make the hallway easier to navigate at night. That is a comfort improvement, and I am not going to promise you anything grander than that. Now, the next one is the system that would have saved me those 14 minutes on Tuesday, and it is the one I recommend more than any other. 2. Build a leaving the house station keys. Wallet, phone, glasses, the shopping list, the library books that are due, the casserole dish you have been meaning to return to your neighbor for a month and a half. The organization mistake is thinking these things already have a home. Ask yourself where your keys live, and I will bet the honest answer is the bowl, or the counter, or the hook, or my coat, or my other coat, or the dresser. That is not one home. That is 6, which is the same as none. The system is one station, at one door, and it has to be the door you actually leave from. Not the pretty front door nobody uses. The one you walk out of to get in the car. Mine is a small shelf my son-in-law put up beside the garage door. On it there is a shallow dish for keys, a spot for my wallet, and a little stand for reading glasses. Below it there is a chair. That chair is not for sitting. That chair is the outbound shelf. Anything that has to leave the house with me goes on that chair. The library books, the dry cleaning ticket, the list, the check for the church. If it is on the chair, it goes in the car, because I cannot get out the door without walking past it. That one chair has done more for my life than the entire junk drawer has done in 20 years. The optional automation is a single phrase or button by that door that shuts off the lamps and the fan and eases the thermostat back as you go. I am going to hold that one until number 10, because there is a right way and a wrong way to set it up, and the wrong way puts your spouse in the dark. The tip: whatever you use for keys, make it a dish with sides. A flat tray lets keys slide under mail. A bowl catches them. And get a spare house key to somebody you trust, today, not eventually. 3. Organize your household reminders. The dentist is the second Tuesday. The car inspection is due this month, or possibly last month. The water bill is the 15th. Your granddaughter's recital is a Saturday, and you would rather eat the program than ask her mother which Saturday for a third time. The organization mistake here is subtle, and almost everybody makes it. It is not that you have no list. It is that you have 3. A wall calendar in the kitchen, some notes in your phone, and a running list in your head that gets updated at 4 in the morning. 3 lists is not organization. 3 lists is a guarantee that the important thing is on whichever one you are not looking at. The system is one household calendar. 1. Everything goes on it, and everybody in the house looks at the same one. Then you separate your reminders into 2 piles because they behave differently. Pile 1 is appointments. Those you enter as they come up. Pile 2 is the recurring stuff. And this is where the real money is. Trash night, furnace filter, smoke detector batteries, car inspection, gutters, water softener salt, birthdays. These never change, which means you should only have to think about them once in your entire life. The optional automation is your phone, and this costs nothing because you already own it. Every phone made in the last 15 years will nag you free of charge and repeat itself forever. My trash reminder goes off Sunday evenings, every Sunday evening. I set it 4 years ago and I have not missed a Monday pickup since. Here is the part most people get wrong, and it took me a while to see it. Set the reminder for when your hands can act, not when your head thinks about it. A dentist reminder at 9 in the morning is useless if the appointment is at 9:15. I set 2 for anything that matters. 1 the evening before, when I can still find the paperwork, and 1 about 90 minutes ahead, when I can still find my shoes. The non-tech version is completely legitimate. Get a paper wall calendar in January, sit down with a colored pen, and write every recurring item into the whole year at once. Filters on the 1st of every 3rd month. Inspection in March. It is a dull hour on a winter afternoon, and it pays you back for 12 months. The tip: do this in one sitting. Cup of coffee, kitchen table one afternoon. Trying to add recurring reminders as you remember them is the same trap that got you here. Number 4 is the one my wife says finally stopped the great dish soap crisis of a few years back. 4. Organize your kitchen and shopping system. You are elbow deep in the sink when you notice the dish soap bottle is making that hollow sound. You are not going to dry your hands, cross the kitchen, find a pen that works, and write it down. Nobody does that. I have never once done that. So you tell yourself you will remember, and you do remember, right up until you are standing in the store parking lot. The organization mistake is that the list lives where you write it instead of where you notice things, and it has no permanent address. A list on the back of an envelope is a list that will be thrown away by somebody being helpful. The system has 3 parts, and none of them cost anything. First, the list gets one permanent location, in the room where you actually discover you are low on things. That is the kitchen. Mine is a magnetic pad on the side of the refrigerator, at eye level, with a pen tied to it. Tied. With string. Because a pen that is not tied to something is a pen that lives in a different room. Second is a household rule, and it is the whole trick. Whoever opens the last one writes it down. Not when it runs out, when you open the last one. That gives you a week of margin instead of a nasty surprise. Third, back that up with a small reserve shelf. One in use, one behind it. Applies to soap, paper towels, batteries, light bulbs, whatever you hate running out of. The optional automation is speaking instead of writing. A small voice speaker on the counter, or the button on your own phone, lets you say, "Add dish soap to the list," with wet hands from 6 feet away, and the list is in your pocket when you get to the store. Same for, "Remind me in 20 minutes to check the oven." The non-tech bridge, and this is my favorite tip in the whole video, is for the paper people. Keep your paper list. Then, before you walk out the door, take a photograph of it with your phone. Now the list is on the counter where it belongs and in your pocket where you need it, and it does not matter one bit if you leave the paper behind. Now, some of you are not comfortable with a microphone in your kitchen. I am not going to talk you out of that, and I have a whole section about it later on. Skip the speaker. The other 9 work fine. If any of this has been useful so far, consider subscribing. There are more of us in this boat than you would think, and I put out something new every week. 5. Organize the floor so the cleaning gets easier. This is the channel's home turf, so let me be careful and practical. The organization mistake is buying a machine to clean a floor that has not been organized for cleaning. I watched a fellow I know spend real money on a robot vacuum, run it once, and watch it eat a phone charger and strangle itself on a rug fringe inside of 4 minutes. Into the closet it went. He blames the machine. It was not the machine. The system comes first. And here it is. Nothing lives on the floor that is not furniture. That is the entire policy. Cords get lifted and clipped along the baseboard. The magazine basket goes on a low table instead of the rug. Shoes go on a rack, not in a pile. Rug fringe gets tucked under the rug, which takes 10 seconds and stays put. The box of things going to the church sale goes in the garage where it belongs, not beside the couch where it has lived since Easter. That policy alone changes your cleaning, whether you own a machine or not, because now a floor can actually be crossed with a vacuum in one pass instead of 9 little detours. The second half of the system is where the cleaning tools live. Most of us keep everything in one closet, which means every small job becomes a walk. Break it up. A small caddy under each bathroom sink. A rag and spray in the kitchen. The idea is that the tool is within arm's reach of the mess it cleans, so the job takes 90 seconds instead of becoming an errand. The optional automation is the robot vacuum, and now it can actually do its work. I resisted one for 2 solid years because I thought it was a gadget for people with more money than sense. Then my knees cast the deciding vote. Here is the truth nobody tells you. It does not replace real vacuuming. It will not do stairs, it will not do the edges perfectly, and it will never get the corner behind the recliner where the dust holds its meetings. What it does is keep the middle of every room at a solid 7 out of 10, every day, with nobody bending or pushing or dragging a cord around a table leg. And that changes the arithmetic. When the floors never get bad, the real cleaning happens every few weeks instead of every few days. You do not need the expensive one. The basic ones wander a room in a half-random pattern and get it done. The costly ones map the house and are neater about it. Both of them let you sit down while the floor gets cleaned, which was the whole point. The tip: set it to run mid-morning after breakfast, so if it gets itself stuck under something you are awake to hear about it. Number 6 is the one that quietly showed up on our heating bill. 6. Organize your home's temperature routine. Most of us have made the walk down a cold hallway in a robe to nudge the heat up, and then made the same walk 3 hours later to nudge it back down. The organization mistake is treating temperature as a reaction. You react to being cold. You react to being too warm, which means you are making the same handful of decisions several times a day, every day, for the rest of your life. The system is to stop reacting and decide it once, on paper, before you touch anything on the wall. Sit down with a piece of paper and write 4 numbers. Morning, when you get up. Daytime, when you are moving around or out of the house. Evening, when you settle into a chair with the television. Overnight, under the blankets. That is it. That is the organizational work, and you can do it in 5 minutes at the kitchen table. Most people find that their daytime number is much higher than it needs to be, and their overnight number is much lower than they thought they wanted. The optional automation is a thermostat that runs that schedule for you. And here is the part I want you to hear. A great many of you already have one on the wall and have never set the schedule. If that is you, the money is already spent. The feature is sitting there. It needs about 4 minutes of your attention, and the little booklet that is probably in a drawer somewhere. I set ours up one Sunday afternoon a few years ago, and I have barely thought about it since. The comfort was the goal. The bill was the surprise. Not running the furnace hard on an empty house in the middle of the afternoon adds up over a winter. I will not throw a percentage at you, because every house, every furnace, and every winter is different. I will say that ours dropped enough that my wife noticed before I did, and she is not somebody who studies the gas bill for entertainment. The non-tech version genuinely works. Tape a small card near the thermostat with your 4 numbers and the times. That is a system. You are still turning the dial, but you have stopped deciding, and deciding is the tiring part. If you have the old round dial and want the schedule, a basic programmable one is not expensive, and the heating company will usually swap it during a routine service call if you ask when they are already there. 7. Set up a water leak check system. There is a fellow in my Tuesday coffee group named Dale who now has the nicest laundry room floor on his street. He got it because a washing machine hose let go while he and his wife were at their daughter's place for 9 days. Nobody checks under the water heater every morning. Nobody looks behind the washer. Nobody thinks about the little line running to the ice maker until there is a stain on the kitchen ceiling. The organization mistake is twofold. First, we assume we would notice. Second, and this one is pure organization, we store things in exactly the places a leak would show up. Cardboard boxes flat on the basement floor. A jumble of cleaning bottles crammed under the sink. A leak can run for weeks under all that, and the only thing that tells you is the smell. The system is simple and free. Clear the floor under every sink and give it a shallow plastic tray. Now a drip has somewhere obvious to sit, and you will see it the next time you reach for the dish soap. Get basement storage up off the concrete on shelves or pallets. And make a 5-point checklist. Water heater, washing machine hoses, under the kitchen sink, under the bathroom sinks, and the sump area if you have one. Then tie that check to something you already do so it never needs remembering. I do mine when the clocks change, twice a year. Takes 11 minutes with a flashlight and a paper towel. The optional automation is a water sensor, which is a little puck you set flat on the floor in those same 5 spots. When the bottom gets wet, it screams, and the loud ones can be heard through a closed door 2 rooms away. The ones that connect to your home internet will also send a message to your phone. I want to be plain about what these do, because I do not care for how they get sold. A sensor alerts you. It does not prevent anything. A puck on the floor cannot fix a pipe and cannot stop water. What it can do is turn something you would have discovered in 9 days into something you discover in 9 minutes. And most of the time, that gap is the entire story. The tip. Test the button when you install it, write the date on the back, and write down on your household list where you put them. Which brings me neatly to number 8. 8. Organize your household information in one place. Quick quiz. What size furnace filter does your house take? When was the water heater last serviced? What is the plumber's name? Where is the main water shutoff, and which way does it turn? If the answers to those live in one person's head, that is not organization. That is a single point of failure, and it is usually the man of the house who has been quietly holding all of it since 1987. The organization mistake is that household information gets stored wherever it arrived. The appliance manual is in the drawer under the toaster. The plumber's number is in a phone. The insurance policy is in the file cabinet. The furnace filter size is on a scrap in the garage. Nothing is wrong with any single one of those. The problem is that nobody else can find any of it, including you, in the 10 minutes when it matters. The system is one household folder, in one drawer, and everybody who needs to know knows where it is. Mine has a page for each of these appliances, with model numbers and the date each one was installed or serviced. Filter sizes, and I mean the actual numbers, because the medium one is not a size. Trades, plumber, electrician, heating company, the fellow who does the gutters. Emergency contacts, written large, plus the neighbor with the spare key. A page on utilities with account numbers, and a short note on where the water shutoff is and where the breaker panel is. Then go put a bright tag on that shutoff valve and write on it which way to turn. If you ever need it, you will need it in a hurry and possibly in the dark. The optional automation here is not really automation. It is just using the phone you own. Photograph every page of that folder. Now it is in your pocket at the hardware store when you are standing in the filter aisle trying to remember. I have taken a picture of the label on the furnace filter itself, and it has saved me 2 wrong purchases. There is one more piece of information organization, and it is the people part. My sister worries. I forget to call. Then she worries more, and I hear about it at Thanksgiving. So we made an arrangement, and now my phone sends her a short note when I get back onto my street after a long drive. 2 lines. Made it home, as she quit calling the house at odd hours, and I quit forgetting. Fair warning if you set that up. The location circle is generous, so the note can go out when you merely drive past. My sister has received a couple of made-it-home messages while I was 3 miles away buying paint. She finds it funny. Yours may too. But know it going in. The tip. Tell exactly one other person where the folder is. A binder nobody knows about is a binder that does not exist. Number 9 is the one that took 4 minutes a night off my shoulders for the last 30 years. 9. Build a bedtime reset. Every night for about 3 decades I have walked the same circuit. Kitchen light, living room lamp, front door, back door, television off at the wall, because I do not trust it. Hall light down low. It is 4 minutes. It is not difficult, but it is 4 minutes of low-grade checking, every single night, and there is a smaller version of it in the morning too. The organization mistake is that most of us treat this as checking instead of resetting, and those are very different jobs. Checking means walking around asking questions and hoping the answer is yes. Resetting means putting the house back to a known state, in the same order, so that in the morning you begin from zero instead of from yesterday's leftovers. The system is a fixed loop with a fixed order that ends at your bedroom door. Same route every night, and I would add the kitchen to it, because the single best thing you can do for tomorrow morning happens tonight. Counters wiped, dishwasher started, coffee set up, one clear surface. Write the loop on an index card and leave it on the counter for the first 2 weeks. You will feel a little silly. Do it anyway. After 2 weeks, the card is decoration, and your feet know the route. The optional automation takes the fiddly parts off the loop. Mine shuts the 2 lamps and the kitchen light, eases the thermostat down a few degrees, and leaves the hall light glowing at its lowest setting. One instruction: set up one time. But notice the order of operations, because this is the whole philosophy of the video. I did not buy anything and then invent a routine around it. I had a routine for 30 years, I wrote it down, I looked at which parts were pure repetition, and I handed only those parts off. And I still check the doors by hand. Every night. Some jobs you want your own eyes on, and that is a perfectly reasonable line to draw. Draw yours wherever you like. The tip. The best part of this system is not the lights going off. It is that the loop stops living in your head as a thing that must be completed correctly before you are permitted to go to sleep. 10. Create a one-touch arrival and departure. Which brings us back around to that Tuesday morning and my keys. Look at your day and you will notice that the scattered decisions bunch up at 2 moments: leaving and coming back. That is when the lamps, the fan, the thermostat, the door, the list, and the keys all want your attention at once, usually while you have got a coat half on. The system is to bundle each moment into one sequence and to write the sequence on paper before you touch a single device. Mine, going out, reads like this: lamps off, fan off, thermostat back, keys and wallet from the shelf, anything on the chair goes to the car. Coming in, keys in the dish, mail sorted at the counter, outbound items straight onto the chair. That is a system on paper, and it works with no equipment at all. The optional automation takes the first half of the outbound list and puts it on one phrase or one button. I use a phrase I would never say by accident. My wife thinks this is the funniest thing in the house and says it to the kitchen counter now and then, just to watch the lamps go dark. If a microphone is not for you, a small button stuck by the door does exactly the same job when you press it. There are also little sticker tags you can put on a table by the door that run a routine when you tap your phone against them on the way past. No microphone anywhere in that arrangement. 2 cautions, and I want you to take these seriously. First, if you live with somebody, do not tie a shut everything down routine to your phone leaving the neighborhood. Your wife is still in the house, and she will not appreciate sitting in the dark. Tie it to a spoken phrase or a button, so it only happens when a person means it. Second, and this is the one I will not soften, only put things on a routine that are safe to turn off. The refrigerator and the freezer are not part of any routine at my house and never will be. Anything medical stays on its own outlet and stays out of this entirely. Lamps, fans, a television, a space heater you want shut down at a set hour. Those are fine. If you have to think twice about whether a device should be switched off automatically, that is your answer. You do not need any of this now. If you are sitting there feeling like I just handed you a shopping list and a homework assignment, take a breath, because this next part is the part that actually matters. Not one item in this video is required for a good life. My mother ran a household of 6 with a wall calendar, a pencil, and a memory like a bank vault, and she did not need a single puck, plug, or sensor. The mistake I watch people make is treating this as a project. They decide to get the house organized, they order 11 things in one evening, the boxes stack up on the dining room table, and by Thursday the whole business has become a chore they invented for themselves. Then it goes in a drawer, along with the guilt. Do the opposite. Pick the one thing that annoys you most, and fix only that. If it is the keys, build the station by the door, nothing else. That is the entire project. Live with it a month. If it helped, you will know, because you will have stopped thinking about your keys. If it did not, you moved a dish and learned something about yourself. You are allowed to have exactly one system forever. You are allowed to have none. Nobody is grading this. What this costs, plainly let me be straight about money, because I know how these videos usually go, and I have no interest in sending you off to spend a few $100s on my say-so. A good portion of what I described is free. The keys station is free, or close to it. The household folder is free. The recurring reminders are free. The 4 numbers on a card by the thermostat are free. The floor policy is free. The photograph of the paper shopping list is free. If you did nothing after this video except set up your recurring reminders and clear the floor, you would have most of the benefit at no cost whatsoever. Then there is the inexpensive tier. Motion lights, water sensors, and timer plugs are each about the price of a couple of sandwiches, often less in a multi-pack. Then there is the optional tier, and I want to be clear that it is optional. Robot vacuums and thermostats are real money. Buy those when you have decided they are worth it to you, not because a fellow on the internet listed them. I am deliberately not naming a single brand, partly because whatever I named would be discontinued in 18 months, and partly because the specific box matters far less than whether the job it does is a job that has been bothering you. If the listening part bothers you, I get this in the comments every week, and it is a fair concern, so let me address it head-on, rather than waving it away. Some of you are not comfortable with a device on the counter that responds to a voice. If that is you, you are not being paranoid, and you are not behind the times. You are making a decision about your own home, which is your right, and you owe nobody an explanation. The good news is that most of this list has nothing to do with microphones. The keys station, the outbound chair, the household folder, the floor policy, the paper calendar, the temperature card, the leak check, the bedtime loop, not a microphone among them. Those are 8 systems that are pure organization. Motion lights have no app, no account, no internet, and no voice. They see movement, they glow, they go dark. A plug on a simple timer schedule works the same whether the internet is up or down. A water sensor that only shrieks locally is entirely self-contained. And if you want the bundled routines without a speaker, the button by the door does it. I am not going to make grand promises about any of this being perfectly private, because I do not know what every company does with every scrap of information, and neither does anyone else selling you these things. What I can tell you is that the simpler and less connected a device is, the less there is to wonder about. Choose accordingly. What this is really about. Let me land somewhere true before we finish. None of this is about having an impressive house. If your grandchildren walk in and say, "Wow, the lights came on by themselves," something has gone wrong. The whole idea is that nobody notices. What you are actually buying with an afternoon of organizing and maybe $20 is a shorter list of things you have to carry around behind your eyes. Less searching, less remembering, fewer trips across the house in your socks, less checking the same door twice, less of the same chore, over and over, on the same floor. And what comes back in its place is not futuristic at all. It is quieter than that. It is a Tuesday morning where the keys are in the dish, the list is in your pocket, the trash went out because your phone said so on Sunday, and you leave the house at 8:50 without a single lap around the living room. That is the whole prize. A home that asks less of you. The best organization is the kind you stop noticing, because everything simply works. So here is what I would like from you, if you are willing. Somewhere in your house there is one small job you do over and over that you have never once enjoyed. Maybe it is the porch light, maybe it is the trash, maybe it is hunting for the reading glasses that are on your own head, maybe it is something I did not think of at all, and honestly, some of the best ideas on this channel have come straight out of the comment section. Tell me what it is. What is the one household task you wish your home could handle for you? And if you have built a system of your own that works, share that too, because somebody watching this needs to hear it and would never have thought of it on their own. I read every one of these. If enough of you name the same thing, that becomes the next video, with the slow, step-by-step version for people who want their hand held through it, which is most of us, and certainly me. If this was useful, A like helps other folks our age find it, and subscribing means you will catch the follow-up. And send it to somebody who spent last Tuesday morning looking for their keys in the wrong coat. They will know exactly what you mean. You spent a lot of years taking care of everything and everyone in that house. Letting the house pick up a few of the small jobs is not laziness. It is a fair trade, finally coming due. Take good care of yourself, and I will talk with you soon.